Fun. So good morning, everyone. I am Sherry Elena Martin. I am the co-chair of the Southside Wellness Coalition. So if everyone would like to go around and introduce yourselves, we will get started. We'll start here in the room and then we'll go to online.
Jamie King.
Infinity Hicks.
Christine Pennington.
Sarah Weissman.
Amanda Hutchins.
Oh, Jenna Dahl.
You can keep it for now.
Hello, Catherine. You're the first to introduce yourself online.
Sorry. This is Catherine Maloney. I'm the co-chair of the Wellness Coalition, and I'm with Tri-County Community Action Agency.
Do you want to popcorn it to somebody?
Oh, I can't see who's on here. Let me see.
Make it a second.
How about Janet?
Hey, I'm Janet Newman. I'm a member of the coalition.
Yeah, pass it on to somebody.
I would, but I can't see anybody who's on here. I can barely see the people in the room. So can y'all help me out?
Hi, I'm Danielle Lucas. I'm with Tri-County Community Action.
I'm Destiny Watson, and I'm with the Department of Health.
Allison next.
Kadisha McCargo, and I'm with Tri-County Community Action.
Hi everyone, Kimberly Gordon. I'm a teacher at Halifax County Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Amy Trent. I'm with Virginia Legal Aid Society.
And I'm Allison Byrne. I'm with the Central Virginia VA Medical Center.
Good morning, Brenna Lake, Virginia Department of Health.
Hey y'all, Liam Hudson. I'm with the Lean In Project.
Bonnie, we're introducing ourselves. I think you're the last one online.
Bonnie, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
I'm Bonnie Francis, and I'm a school nurse.
I think that's everyone. Everyone welcome. So we will go ahead and get started. So Jenna, do you want to put the minutes on the screen? Yeah.
Which one has the minutes? Nope.
All right, so members in the room, do you have a printout of the minutes? And then if you're online, if you just want to take a look on those while we scroll down. Would anyone like to approve the minutes?
I'll approve.
I'll second the motion to approve the minutes. This is Catherine.
That was Catherine and Janet.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so we do have a presentation today from Jamie King. He's a school resource officer and he's with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. You'd like to go ahead, Jamie?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jamie King. I'm a sergeant with Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office and a longtime school resource officer. So a lot of what I'm gonna talk about today is some of my background and some of the things that I've seen and dealt with. And if anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to add, I really appreciate that at any time. We'll just kind of take it as a conversation and we'll work our way through it and explain some of the things that I used to do and what I've learned and how we do things now. I have 23 years of experience with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. I actually started my career off as a school resource officer, which at the time was pretty unheard of. And for most part was kind of talked against doing it. And nowadays they want you to have a little more experience under your belt before you go and work in schools. But I was hired to work in the school. My first go around, I spent, I think it was 12 years from the time I got hired, 12 years in the school system, working alongside the school. I actually left my SRO position and went and worked general investigations for a short period of time, about a year. After a year working general investigations, they asked me to come back to schools and they actually promoted me to the sergeant position. Now, this time the sergeant position was kind of a stationary position, which is not what I wanted. It was, I stayed in my school that I worked previously and didn't give me much time to venture out and do supervision like I wanted to do and what I was aspiring to do. After a couple of years supervising, I actually got transitioned again to another investigative unit where I worked special investigations for about 7 years. The special investigations, which is some of my experiences that I gained through working in the school environment, led me to work on the gang and drug task force. And that task force at the time had been a long-term organization comprised of all the local departments in our county. Everybody would send a representative from their agency, and that comprised the local task force, which was started back in the 90s. As I started making my way to the task force, they actually encountered not only the drugs, but they entailed the gang portion of it too. So that's what I kind of hit up with the gang side of things. Learned a whole lot working the task force. A lot of experience that I had in school, what I saw in school, my first go around the first 12 years, taught me a lot and led me a lot in what I did on the task force in those 7 years. The work that I did on the task force eventually led me back into the schools. So I was brought back as a supervisor for our schools in 2022, and I've been supervising our SROs now for the last 3.5, 4 years or so. So the first go around, I thought I did a pretty good job. I spent a lot of time trying to do a lot of proactive work and a lot of preventative type work, which is the work that I saw that was very necessary. And of course, on a day-to-day basis, not just the prevention and proactive work, but there was a lot of reactive work that came in too. And we'll talk a little bit about that as I progress through. Which showed me that the prevention work was that much more important to what we need to be doing inside the schools. The first go around when I first got hired, I remember my chief deputy, it was a fairly new position. I was actually the third resource officer hired in the county. And at the time, the first two resource officers had moved on and different things had taken place. So I was kind of in a position with not a whole lot of leadership, just sheriff's office know-how. So a lot of my mentors were street guys and worked the street, and they talked to me and told me certain ways how to handle things. The chief deputy, when I got hired, he said, "Jamie, when you go over to school, you make it what you want to make it. This is your environment. You're like the chief of your community there." He said, "When you go to school, if you want to go to the library and read a magazine or look at the newspaper, just make your 8-hour day." And I said, "Holy cow, man, 8 hours of reading magazines and newspapers, there's got to be more to it than that." So I started out and I started each day just learning different things. The biggest priority I had was learning that community. The school I worked in was actually the school I graduated high school. So I was familiar with the school, familiar with some of the staff. And at the time, thought I was familiar with some of the young people, but I had a lot of learning and I experienced a lot of different things that taught me a lot about that environment. So over the years, just that learning and some of my experiences have kind of taught me and led me towards where I kind of lead now with my team. Back then we didn't document. There were things going on every day in schools, and And what I would hear a lot from parents and from different people is, well, Jamie, you remember how it was when we was in school? We used to do this and we used to do that. Some of the things I was dealing with, I never did when I was in school. So it was kind of, it was a lot of learning process for me to take on a lot of those events and work through them. But a lot of those experiences early on gave a strong foundation for how I see and how I want to lead now for the SRO teams in Mecklenburg County. Right now, we have 7 SROs on the team, and I'm still trying to fill. I'm always talking about more positions, but I know I have one more position to fill, and I'm hoping they'll give me the additional, so I'll have 2. Our schools now have SSOs, which are school security officers. So there's a difference between the SSOs and the SROs. SSOs are school personnel. They are staff members hired by the school. SROs, school resource officers, they are deputy sheriffs hired by the sheriff in Mecklenburg County. But we're in our second year with the SSOs, and we're starting to build a pretty good foundation of partnerships along with the schools moving forward to giving us the safest and the most efficient process that we can go through school. We deal with a lot more things now than we used to when I first started. We'll jump into some of those, and I always point out, anybody has children and they take their children to school, a couple of different modes. You put your child on the bus and they ride the school bus to school, or you take your child. And we have car ride lines. And I was familiar with car ride line. I just never knew car ride lines were as expansive as they are now. So in our car ride lines at different schools, we have hundreds of cars that come through that car ride line to drop their students off and their children off before, and then picking them up after school as well. So a lot of things going on at our school campuses with bus traffic, parent traffic, and now with different businesses in our community, just commuter traffic in general. So a lot of things are going on outside of our school buildings and inside the school buildings. I want to touch base on some of the things that we do now and that we track. Now, like I tell my team, this is all human nature. So as you work through your workday, I'm expecting my team to document things that we're doing. Now, working with juveniles, of course, we don't give out juvenile information or share that type of information, but I'm gonna share some of our experiences and share things that we do track. And just remember, this is human nature. We're as good as what we're documenting. But I think as we work through some of this documentation, you'll see some of the things that we face. And not only as SSOs, SROs, and school staff, but what our parents should know that we face every day so they know what the school situations and environments look like. Which brings me back to some of the preventative work that we try to do. Just working through, we document a couple of different things now. We have various duties that we keep up with. Those are some of the things that we do extra on top of police work. And I always explain to people, SRO in a day-to-day environment is not only a police officer. A lot of times the police officer is the last thing that we do. We're an older brother, older sister. We serve as parental guidance sometimes. We're coaches, we're bus drivers, we're mentors, and we try to be a positive influence. So we take on a whole lot of different hats in our daily functions. So some of our various duties, we'll touch on those and kind of go into some detail. And then of course we deal with legal issues and crimes. So a couple of things, and if you have any questions, stop me anytime. I'd love to answer questions, just to kind of walk you through some of our days. What I'm gonna go through now, and just kind of, if everybody's cool with, I'll just go through some of the things we deal with in a year's time. So the numbers I'm gonna show you and give to you are numbers that we worked through last year. So this is gonna be the 24-25 school year. This is all of our schools combined. This is nowhere in any form or fashion pointing fingers. This just shows the value of the resource officer, and eventually we're gonna see the value of the school security officer. This is a support system that was set up 25 years ago in Mecklenburg County. When I first started, everybody would ask, I'd see people that I know on the street, and they say, man, Jamie, are the fights that bad at school? They need cops in schools. Well, there's fights that's gonna take place, and there's certain things that are gonna take place on a daily basis in any school that you go to across this country. No matter how hard we work, how hard the school system and the value that we put on things. My thought was always, why didn't we have cops in schools before? Police are part of the community. When you get involved in after-school activities and events and you supporting your school staff and supporting your children, we are absolutely a part of our community. So these are things that we're going to just talk about that show what we do to keep our schools safe, what we do in support of our school system to work in partnership alongside them. So we'll just go through a couple of these. This is going to be we'll talk about some of the crime things that we deal with, and this is nowhere near the cover all. This is the major things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So we'll just walk through some of them. Threats in our schools. In the 24-25 school year, we were involved in 45 different threat situations. Now, I'm gonna show you these numbers or talk about these numbers to all kind of bring it back around to try to show you how we perform every day. We had 31 different opportunities for traffic violations. So, and a lot of these are going to be in our school zones or around the times that schools open and closing. We had 14 weapon violations. And some of these cover a pretty good scope. So weapon violation could mean anywhere from the student who went out hunting before school and forgot his pocket knife in his jacket or his pocket. Weapon violation could mean elementary school kid may have brought his water gun to school to show to his buddies. And it just depends on how it travels through. Could be a BB gun. We've dealt with an assortment of all those. All the way to sometimes what our worst fear could be, what we see on the news. And I say that to walk us through a path of coming back around to the prevention and the proactive approach that we try to take. Assault and batteries. Remember, this is one of the things I told you a lot of people had concern about. Any school you go into across this country, you put people together, somebody's gonna be upset, somebody's gonna wake up in a bad mood, somebody's gonna bump somebody too hard, somebody's gonna play basketball a little too rough. All these things are things that have happened in schools and kind of spill over. 49 different opportunities for assault and batteries last school year. Vandalisms, this is where we're not taking care of our school properly where we should, destroying things, not treating them right. Vehicle accidents, 13. Did I give you a number on the vandalism? It was 10 different ones we dealt with. Social media events, 7 different ones that we documented. Social media can cover a wide array of different things too. So 7 different social media events that we may have been involved in. I'm gonna give you these numbers, but I want to come back to, so I want to kind of circulate through some of the main topics, and then we'll finish up with that vaping, because we'll talk a little more about the vaping. But to go ahead and give you some of those numbers, and this is one of the things that we really spend a lot of time with. This is a pretty fluent occurrence. Overall vapes, about 85 opportunities that we were involved with young people with vapes. 55 of those being nicotine vapes, and another 30, which would be our THC vapes. And we categorize that under our drugs. But 30 THC vapes and 55 nicotine. We'll come back to those. Those are some of the crimes that we deal with and take care of throughout a school year. I want to go through some of our various duties. These are things that we try to spend a lot of time doing. This is where we earn our money. This is where it's so to speak. Some of these numbers, and remember, this is everybody working throughout a day's time and then documents what we're dealing with. But some of these numbers to me are pretty impressive. I have on here school events. They didn't really put a number on that. But when I say school events, I mean some of our, at the end of the year, we have the graduations, the promotion days, we participate. And I tell all of my team members, once you come onto the SRO team, there's a lot of things that come with that. Some of the things that come with being an SRO today, which were a little different than when I first started, you were mandated to work proms, graduations, promotions, certain big events at school. We like having our people at school to support the school personnel. We're also mandated to work ball games. My team covers not all of our athletic events now, but we're working toward that. And of course, the more we do, the more money it costs the county. So it's a step-by-step process, but we're doing a lot of more of these things now that I saw along the way that were more beneficial. When When I first came on, we had a sign-up sheet at the office that if you wanted to work ball games and you worked for the sheriff's office, you had opportunity to work them. So I worked schools for altogether about 16 years, and a lot of times I didn't have the opportunity to work my own ball games. And I thought early on that was very important. Everybody would see me in the school during the daytime. I thought it was important for them to see me at any event. Teaching in classrooms. We spend a lot of time teaching in classrooms. We have several programs. Just to mention a few that we do. We do a middle school and high school Virginia Rules program. The Virginia Rules is a juvenile justice educational program set up through the Attorney General's office in Virginia. This is where we go into the classroom and give information on if you do these type of events, this is some of the things that come along with it. We talk about truancy, we talk about some of the things that we mentioned in our crime data that we gave a few minutes ago. So we try to give that preemptive education to deter some of the decisions that we make. Teaching in classrooms, last school year, we had 99 opportunities that we took to go into the classroom. Some of those would be the Virginia Rules. Another one that we did, I presented a great program to our fifth grade classes in all 4 of our elementary schools. And now this year we've added the DARE program back into the county. The DARE program has been done in most all of our neighboring counties. And so we're now going back to teaching DARE in the 5th grade. The GREAT program is now going to be taught. My plan was to teach it in middle school. Due to scheduling and the lengthiness of the program, we're still trying to design which group we're going to try to get that into. We're not sure yet. Just working along schools to try to keep that program in our school system so we can keep building the life skills of which they teach. Parking lot details, 26 different times we were in the parking lot. This year's numbers are going to be way beyond 26. With my team expanding and getting people in place, we try to keep people in the parking lot areas of the times that students arrive at school, leave school. We do this in the effort to try to prevent accidents, making sure students are getting to where they need to get to, and keeping everybody safe. And the biggest part I tell my team is the visibility. We want to be visible. So when our students come onto the property, we want to make sure they see us and know we're out there. So when they get to school, it gives them hopefully a safer feeling when they arrive and leave. Threat assessments. We were involved in numerous threat assessments. This is where students may engage in behavior, and the school personnel will take them in and go through an assessment process. And on some of those events, they'll have us come in to set with the assessments. Different drills. About 35 different times we assisted the school with drills. Legal guidance. This is where somebody may come up to you and say, hey, Officer King, I have a question. What if this happens, or what if that happens? Or I had this happen, or if I was involved in this, what would be the outcome? So a lot of times they're coming to us, they're asking us these questions, and we try to give them legal guidance. Informal meetings. We participate in 82 informal meetings. Most of the time, this is where, whether it's school related, somebody shows up to the school, whatever type meetings that the principals may be in, or even sometimes just want to talk with the resource officers. So 82 different meetings. We've had 62 opportunities to counsel with parents. This may be opportunities for the parents to not quite understand what the child is involved in. They want to reach out for advice, or their child might be involved in something and they want to make sure they understand the process. So we want to make sure they do too. Campus disruptions. This is all, in all the numbers I'm giving, this is that elementary through secondary levels, 124 campus disruptions. 124 campus disruptions.
So what is a campus disruption?
Campus disruption could cover a lot of grounds. It could be anything from a group of kids just having a real good day and they get loud in the hallway and somebody gets nervous and says, something looks like it's going to happen down here. All the way to the point of campus disruption maybe cause us to go into lockdown for something that somebody has done. And that can range, it could be a wide range. Campus disruption could be somebody that comes on the campus and causes disruption, which may cause us to go into lockdown. And so we have to address those things. So it doesn't totally mean that's kids acting bad all the time. It could be something just taking notice, and we want to make sure we get somebody there to check on it. 131 traffic controls. Some of our school zones are overloaded with commuters and parents and different things. So it 131 different times we may have gone in and actually directed traffic or helped the flow of traffic just to make sure everybody's getting on and off school property safe. This is one of the ones that I'm most impressed with. This is kind of how we lead our days, most days. And if you can see that in the yellow, that's pretty much half of all the stuff that we do in various duties. Those are our security checks. That's where we physically walk the buildings and the properties. We're checking doors and make sure they're locked, make sure everything's secure. And we do this numerous times in a day's, occurrences. If something's not right with the door or something's preventing the door from shutting or locking, then we have process we go through so we can make sure those get fixed. But 894, and I'll tell you that number's gonna be slim in a year's time. 894, I think you could probably easily double it. We do other checks and don't document it. These are the ones that I've made a full rotation, check these doors in completion. And those are the ones that make our data sheet. So when you talk about all the various duties that we've gone through and some of the crimes that we deal with, in a year's time, I'll show you some of the outcomes. So you just remember some of those numbers. The amount of warnings we gave in 24-25, 136 warnings. This could mean, man, please don't do this again. This is going to get you down this road. We want you to stay over here. All the way to a traffic stop for speeding. That could be a warning. Warning can kind of fall, it covers a lot of ground. This is the one that in a year's time, to me, this number is good, but it's not good enough. Referrals to juvenile intake. Juvenile intake is a process that juveniles go through if they do commit a crime or if they need a little extra help outside of school. So in all those numbers I gave you, with all the various duties, all the crimes that we come in contact with, 38 referrals. That number is still higher than what I want it to be. But in the whole scheme of things, what we did with 38 is not too awful.
You were mentioning hundreds, they could be more.
Right. I went to a conference years ago and this is one of the things that kind of hit me pretty hard. They said in the conference that your best resource officers don't have to make arrests. And that kind of hit me pretty solid and kept with me for a whole lot of years. But sometimes the arrest situations are out of our hands. I mean, we don't have much choice. When we do have the choice, we make the best possible decision that we can with circumstances, and we'll go into some of those. We had 16 referrals to DSS. We actually had 5 physical arrests. So those 5 were situations where we didn't have any other option at the time. We had some urgency. We had something that had taken place where somebody had to be removed from the property. So just 5 of those instances. And then we issued 4 summonses. Now with a full team in place, this is kind of my setup that I like having. We have people circulating. My whole team meets at the complex, which is our new high school, middle school. We're in our 4th year. We meet there every day. And I have several of us that stay mobile, which means we're moving the whole morning. So while Colorado traffic, while bus traffic is coming in, students in and out the building, we have units that are mobile. We also have several that are inside of our buildings that are moving around. And of course, our complex has metal detection systems now, so everybody that comes onto the property has to walk through these detection systems. We have somebody near those in case somebody needs any assistance with those. Now, those are last year's numbers. Real quick, and I'll sum it up in that, and if anybody has any questions, but collecting these numbers just gives us some transparency to know what we do, because for years, even in our office, guys like, what exactly do resource officers do? They thought we just went over there and read newspapers and magazines all day. So these are just some of the things that we face. And like I tell people, these are things that come knock on our door. We don't go out looking under rocks and trying to find what's going on. In the month of August, this is our first month of school, already our various duties, 99 security checks. We've had 4 medical emergencies. We've been involved in 5 different threat assessments. 15 parking lot details. That's us in the parking lot when students are moving. 9 drills. I have on here detection system, so we have almost double digits where we're in there with the detection monitoring. Perimeter checks, rated 60 of those. That's where we're moving around the perimeter while everything's going on. And then we keep somebody in all of our call route lines. We like having somebody there to be visible. What I've learned is that the public, when they're dropping their child off, they like seeing the uniform. They like seeing the staff members out there because, like I said, to begin, the call route lines are pretty big events in a lot of people's lives, whether it's the first day at school, whether it's the first day attending middle school, even high schoolers. We see a ton of high schoolers that still are being dropped off. And I feel like our high school, the complex, as well as our elementary schools are very, very efficient. They're not perfect, but I think they're very efficient. Now, with moving through some of those numbers, and then we'll get back to some of the vapes. We actually started I think it was last year, the year before last. Maybe last year we started an afternoon program to try to get back in front of our young people who are vaping. And y'all heard the numbers. So 55 nicotine vapes last year we dealt with, and 30 of the THC vapes. In our school, and of course, all levels are different processes. I'm gonna speak on the high school level. If you get caught with a nicotine vape, the first time it's a 3-day suspension. That means you don't come to school for 3 days for being in possession, whether you use it or not, just having it with you. Each time after that, for the second time, it's a 5-day offense. And then if you get called for the third time, it goes to a 10-day, which you would go in front of a discipline committee to see if the school is the right placement for you at this point. So it doesn't take too much to be involved, and you start working your way out of not coming to school, which is not what the school wants, not what we want. So we come up with this after-school program where several of us get together, where we have the law enforcement perspective. We have a school representative so they can give the school on the discipline side. And then we have somebody that comes in, it's actually one of our coalition leadership members, Dr. Wells. She comes in and participates and gives a lot of the research background and some of the helping hands and trying to move forward. We ultimately want to see young people do well, but we contend with all kinds of things in a day's time. And I don't have it on last year's, but we started kind of monitoring. And I don't know if I brought it with me. Yes, I did. So for the month of August, just to kind of recap, and I'll bring this all together. We have I've added different various duties because of just multiple things we deal with in a day's time. So now the additions we have a referral for conflict resolutions. So if we see young people that's having a bad day, maybe having verbal arguments, having conflict with somebody, we refer them, and sometimes we get called in to do conflict resolutions where we go in with a guidance counselor, maybe one of the assistant principals, and try to work through some of these emotions and different things that's taking place. We have referrals to school counselors. So before a situation goes to conflict resolution, we encounter a lot of students and we can refer them to the school counselors. We're trying to get back to where the counselors are in place. I think there's still a position or two short there. Another one that I really want to speak on, we've had already in the month of August, we've had 2 referrals to mental health, which means these were the young people that were hospitalized through the evaluation process. I tell my team all the time, and I'm one of the CIT trainers here that takes place here in this building, that we have to be very sharp on recognizing crises, recognizing mental health, because we're starting to deal with more of this each day. Each day we're dealing with more and more of it. Those are just 2 that made it through the evaluation process. We deal with dozens more that are referred to the counselor suite where they work through their process and try to get them back in class or try to get them some in-house opportunities to kind of work through situations. To bring it all together with the vapes, we talk to so many young people with the THC and the nicotine. We talk to their parents. A lot of information that we're getting back is the reason why my child is doing this, or the reason why I'm doing this, is to help with my anxieties, the stresses of different things going in their life. So basically they're self-medicating. And, I guess with the vapes, and I'm not an expert on it, but with the vapes coming out, it was supposed to be a preventative type action or a helping out for tobacco users. And there are young people using them to help out with their stresses and anxieties. And I can tell you this, and we're doing some work outside of school. Our local marketers and people are really pointing toward our young people. When you put the nice little fragrances and the nice cool little compartments and it makes it look a little more sophisticated for our young people to carry around. It's not like carrying the old Marlboro lights around in your shirt sleeve pocket, I reckon. So the prevention side is where we try to bring these numbers down. So we collect this data so we know the areas that we need to focus on. So it's not a finger point. This is a data collection in-house that we've kind of built to show the direction that we need to point our services. And we know that the vapes take on a whole lot. Some of the things that we do outside of here, we're real programmatic. We love having the in classroom educational piece. One of the things I'm proud of too, I started a outside of school community service program. And this is where our young people have been in trouble, may have been going through the court process, and nobody gets excited to hear young people getting charged or even, with serious charges. So the community service program is an effort on school personnel, law enforcement personnel, and community help. And at this point, I've done about 350 hours community service alongside of our young people. So if you go to court and the judge prescribes 25 hours community service, in some of these situations, they prescribe it where I do the community service along with them. So about 350 hours in the last 4 years that we've done with those. And man, some of the stuff that we've done with the young people to hopefully change some of their direction or change some of their focus has really been detrimental to them, and it really teaches us a whole lot too, because we're actually in the learning process along with them. It helps us know how we need to perform a little better in some areas. Any questions about anything? I know it's a lot of numbers, a lot of data, but it kind of points me in the right direction to show some things that we're doing, some of the areas that we're trying to focus on to prevent a lot of these occurrences.
So, you're in the schools every day. What do you think would be the most surprising or shocking thing that parents and the community members may not know is happening in school?
The most shocking.
It doesn't have to be shocking, just concerning, I guess.
Well, I think what we need to be paying attention to, and this is kind of one of, and I don't know what I don't know if it's pet peeve, if it's a high concern, all the above. Cell phones and technology. Man, what a world we're in now. We have opportunities that we haven't had in the past to have so much at our fingertips, so much instant, spontaneous reactions. At the same time, man, what do we have at our fingertips? And it's kind of this is really kind of me personal, not even uniform. Situations that arise from cell phones are pretty common. I think as parents, we give these cell phones because we have the tendency and the goal to prevent things happening with our children. We want to protect them. We want to know everything that's going on. We want to know every place they go to. We want to know who they're hanging around with. And this is my personal opinion, I think we know less about what our kids are doing now in some aspects than we did in past. That's my personal opinion, but derived from my professional experiences. I think the technology is, I think we had to be so careful. I always point out a couple of things. I always tell parents, I watched a Netflix programs a couple of years ago, The Social Dilemma. I don't know if anybody's seen The Social Dilemma, but if you watch The Social Dilemma, it teaches you a whole lot of these marketing companies and these brilliant people who are coming up with all these apps and all these technologies. The one thing their child don't have is the technology. So they're improvising, they're building them, and they're saying, hey, here it is for the public service. And The Social Dilemma was a pretty eye-opening Netflix program that I watched just several years ago. But I know our school has, and really through legislation, has taken steps for the cell phones. We're actually a bus-to-bus cell phone policy. So from the time you get off the bus to the time you get back on the bus, there's no cell phone use. And I've seen and we're still early on. I think this week is our 5th week of school. We're still early on, but I've seen a pretty tremendous change from where you can see just in the last couple of years, students walking up and down the hallway on their phones, whether it's texting or actually having phone conversations. A lot of students getting in and out of class, going to the bathroom to use the phones. It's refreshing now. We can stand in the cafeteria in the morning time during breakfast session or even at lunch and see young people sitting beside each other, talking to each other and not glued to the phone. So even the disruptions in the class that phones can cause, I don't think we have any instruction, and I'm not a teacher, but I don't think there's any instruction that allows a cell phone use because of the policies. Now, once they get on the bus, as long as they handle the stuff, like my understanding, they can use the cell phones on the bus. But even if that becomes disruptive to the bus driver, I think that can be contained a little better. That's one of the things that stick out to me. That I would say that's usually one of my top priorities. And then with the cell phones and technology comes the social medias and all the other things that come with it. We've dealt with several, and I didn't go into detail with some of the social media, but sex extortions. Familiar with that, where the passing of pictures, and then once I get the picture, I say, hey, now you owe me $500, or I'm gonna spread this out everywhere. We've dealt with several of those. But that comes along with the technology. We have so much access right there in the palm of our hand. That's always one of my high points. I think that.
Jamie, sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, because I do appreciate y'all being there when car rider lines are dismissing and everything, because I know once that door's locked, those people that are in that building are the ones that are supposed to be in there. But it's such an easy time right now when everybody's going in.
And I always mention the car ride line because I say it with a smile on my face. Is what?
Hell on wheels.
Well, and I feel like our school is running a pretty efficient one. Like I said, it's not perfect. You're never gonna please everybody. Everybody has their own perception of how that car ride line should be. But that car ride line is designed and set up to move specific ways to keep everybody safe. One person not following the guidelines and the rules could offset it. And we get called to the car ride line from time to time. But we work through the process. The whole thing goes back to its parents wanting the best for their child and expecting everything to be perfect, and it's not. But I think all of our schools run pretty efficient. Like I said, until a couple of years ago, I never really thought of car ride line. But now we try to have somebody, we can't promise somebody's gonna be there every day because we get tired of doing stuff, but it is one of our priorities to be visible in the car ride line, as Infinity knows.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah.
So if you come through our high school car ride line, you may see her face.
Poor child, that's the crazy.
But her face is better than seeing my face. So that's more of a face that people want to say, they see my face. Oh, yeah, that's Jamie. Jenny, what was your question?
This isn't really so much a reflection on Mecklenburg County. I just want to ask you as a resource officer. You had mentioned about suspending the children for the vapes. So it brought to my attention what I had been thinking about, because I know they have a lot more suspensions for violent stuff in other areas like Brunswick and Emporia and stuff like that. I know that to be a fact. What do you think personally is an alternate, instead of suspending these children and putting them out of school, versus, you're taking them and putting them out of school for what they've done? And vape is one thing, but these other children are doing much worse things, and they're in gang stuff, and they're in that. All they're doing at that point when they suspend them is giving them a leeway to go back out and do the exact same thing out in the public, or worse than they were doing in school. So what would you think as a resource officer could be a resolution to that, versus putting them out of school? Because you're just giving them that's a generic word. They're just giving them a leeway to just go out and do more killing. And I mean, there's a lot of juveniles in the school system that are put into juvenile detentions for murder right now. And that breaks my heart. So when you put them out of school because of their whatever they're doing that's violent or whatever, all it's doing in my mind is giving them more access to do worse things, or hey, let's go hang out with our gang friends to do. So what's an alternative there? you know, and if there is one, how do you get the people to listen, whoever the powers that be, to change the fact that they're kicking them out of school? Because I don't think that's the answer.
I think to start off, and I'll just tell you, I've spent almost 25 years of my career trying to offer my thought process on, and we've been close a couple of times. And I'm not an educator, but I work in the educational environment. What I've tried pushing along with other people, and some people sit in this room right now, we try to encourage the school board and the public school system. This is Jamie King talking. This is not the sheriff's office talking. This is Jamie King talking.
Right.
To provide a true alternative learning program, and to do away with suspensions. This is totally my thoughts because of what you
Right.
want. We know that the chances of somebody being more productive and more successful is better being in school than outside of school. Other locations have started programs like this for years. So just for a situation with a vape, this is my thoughts. You get caught with a vape, you don't get suspended to the house. You get suspended to this alternative location, this alternative program. And when you go into that alternative program, you get more services. You have trained counselors, different people that can be involved in your
Okay.
life. So you have a better opportunity to learn. So what we've done is taken those thought processes and we've applied it to like our after school program with our THC. And we're starting our first vape program this afternoon for this school year. But I agree. I think there's a lot of value there. I think that the best way to have your voice heard is to call your local school board member. I think that's a start. That's what I've always encouraged people to do. I talk to school board members all the time. I have people reach out to me. Just a few years back, we were well on our way to implementing a program like this, and it got a little bit off the rails. But I never stop on that. I just say, okay, that direction didn't work for me, so I take a different approach. So my different approach is having this after school program, and we've offered several after school programs. Another part of what we try to do is that community service program. I feel like that community service program could be a part of the alternative learning program. So you get a 3-day suspension for a vape. You go into the alternative location. As a part of being an alternative location, you provide a community service where you actually give back to the community. And all these efforts is to help this young person to maintain and stay on that right track. Like I told you, we have parents and students that say, this is the reason for me doing this. I've never had one say, I like vaping because it tastes like cotton candy. It's always, but that cotton
Right.
candy is the lure for it though. It's like drinking
Yes.
Kool-Aid when I was a kid. That cherry Kool-Aid wasn't good for me, but I liked it.
Well, Jamie, you know that now in Virginia, I think starting in December, it might be sooner, they're gonna take the flavor vapes out. And it's only going to be the regular menthol, so that might actually help.
Hope that'll be a return, but we know a lot of them are getting addicted to it. It's coming from the young people that now I'm addicted to it. And it all started because I didn't know how to deal with some of my mental health issues that I was going through, whether anxiety or stress or peer pressures or whatever was going on. We get a whole lot of that. I'll tell you something else we get some of, not every time, is that the parents say, I actually bought it for them for that purpose. And that really hits me hard because now we have parents, and I'm not talking about bad people. I'm talking about parents that are saying, this is what I felt like I need to be doing to help my child. And so then we offer them other resources and try to deter them and try to give them the best advice we can too. And my next step is hopefully we'll start incorporating our parents into our after school classes so they can get some information, but it's all a process. So we're going in some of the right directions. Sometimes it might not go as swiftly as I'd like it to go, but I agree with you on the out of school suspensions. I've heard it for years. I've heard young people, hey, I need a vacation, give me 10-day suspension. That's not the outcome that I'd want to have. That's not the response I'd want to hear. At the same time, I was having a conversation with our principal this morning, and for years, I don't hear it as much anymore. This is kind of off topic, but it's the same process. I've heard educators in past say, hey, you see young Jamie King right there? Y'all gonna be dealing with him on the street, or we're gonna be reading about him in the newspaper. That's just kind of that's not quoting anybody, it's just kind of giving an example. When I hear those things, I'm thinking, what are we doing for us not to read about it in the paper? What are we doing for the police not to deal with them? So these numbers that I gave y'all through this presentation is not a pointing fingers, it's not a bragging. This is saying we are paying attention. We want to do the best job, offer the best service we can. These are the numbers that we collect. So we know we have increase in mental health situations. So we know we've got to be trained and be prepared to deal with those. And we've dealt with several already in the first couple of weeks of school. We know we're gonna deal with vapes. We know we're gonna have that. So we need to have the best networking opportunities we can to offer resources and to have help provided for them. So it's learning. Being a resource officer is learning every day. But how important is networking and part of the coalition just coming together as people saying we all have the same goals and ambitions, coming together as a group to say this is what we could do to work together. And that's why I enjoy coming here. That's why I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
I want to say something to you, Jamie, how much I appreciate everything that you and your team does in Mecklenburg, because compared to, and I'm from Mecklenburg, so you said go to your local school board. I'm not saying that we don't need things. I mean, I could definitely go if I need to, or if you gave me an idea of what I need to say, because I have that. God didn't give me this mouth for nothing. I'm like a dog with after a bone. I will keep on until I get what I want. You know, that's just how I am. But out of all the districts and different things that I do know about, Mecklenburg is the least district that I know anything about, that I have heard or know anything about, that has the least amount of the violence, the kids who are out there that have had murder, that commit murder, things like that. So I'm very grateful for you all with that. And I really wish that we could get Brunswick County, because we are part of, our coalition does have Brunswick County involved in that. That is correct. I'm right on that, correct? Brunswick County is part of our coalition.
Yes, it is.
Am I okay? Well, I think, and I wish, and I don't know how to get them in there. If I need to go get the resource officer like Grandma and grab them by the earlobe and drag them in there, they need to be a part of this so we can try to help them with whatever they're doing. Or I don't even know if maybe they might not like it, but you can give them some pointers on what to do, because there's a huge problem in Brunswick County with an Emporia, but I know that's probably further out of our district, but huge problem with this, much more major problems in Brunswick than a vape.
I'll tell you this, Jenny, I'm good friends with the lieutenant resource officers in Brunswick, and we do some collaborating things together throughout school years. I know they're working equally as hard as us. We've actually communicated and talked about some coalition things and things we're working on. So we're in contact with each other. They're doing some good things in it too. They just might not have the opportunity to come in here and speak about what they're doing. I did recently talk to her about how we're collecting our data, and she was very interested in that. So it's just a matter of time getting together and kind of sitting down.
Right.
And also, I've communicated with Halifax County too, and I think we've got, I talked to one up there pretty close, and we're gonna be doing some things together. But I tell you, everybody has their opinions and the thoughts of what should be done. It's kind of like when I was growing up, all the older people used to tell us that everybody should have to work a public job for 6 months or a year to learn how to talk to people, learn how to deal with things. I said, I wish we could get people to come see what the school system looks like, because it might not always have the same picture that you painted as a young person or when you was in school. And like I said, I used to encounter a lot of parents saying, well, you remember how it was? You know how we used to do? And I'm thinking, yeah, I never did this. So.
Right, and I'm not meaning to like demean the resource officers or any of that. This is not a product of the resource officers. That's not how I'm meaning it. The children, what do we do to help those children to be a better child? That's what I'm meaning. What can we do to help those children? Because the children are the bad part right now. And I don't mean to say, hey, you bad kids, but it's the truth. The children, what can we help to do to help the children to be better? That's what I'm meaning. I'm not really dogging out the resource officers there, but what can we do to help them? Because I don't know what the resource officers are doing one way or the other, but I know that the children are off the chain, and I don't mean all of them, but they have some very, there are children there that are out for in trouble and doing and getting a lot of trouble, and they have children that are in detentions for committing murder and emporia and different places like that. And it just, like I said, it just breaks my heart. I don't even know these children, but I know it to be a fact that these are things that go on, and it breaks my heart. These are children. I mean, I was in and out of prison for 10 years as an adult. These are children. I don't want them to spend the rest of their lives in jail. That's what I'm speaking of, not even on the fact of whether the resource officers are doing their job, just bringing them in, and what else can we do to help them to do whatever they need to do to help the kids. That's what I meant. Not like, I believe what you said. Everyone should have to do someone else's job at least one time. I believe that firmly. So I wasn't really trying to dog the resource officers. I was like, meaning like, can we get them into, what can we do to help them help the kids? That's really what I was trying to say.
No, I follow what you're saying. I tell you just real quick, because I know my time is up. Support families, keeping families together, community help, community support, the coalitions like we're doing now. Education, have strong teachers in place, keeping strong teachers in place. You can keep building that whole pyramid of everything needs to fall into place. And everybody in the room probably could give a dozen reasons of how we do that. It's just continue giving our best effort. And that's what we try to do is our best effort every day. And hey, sometimes we're successful and sometimes we fall short, but we continue to try to give our best. But thank you, Jenny. I appreciate the response. Did you need anything else from me?
Thank you for all you do, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna move ahead to the TARP update, and then we'll circle back to the membership campaign.
I appreciate that. So our TARP leadership team has met, and we've been in contact with the Southside Wellness Coalition leadership, and we are actually restructuring as of January 1. We will become a working committee under Southside Wellness Coalition. A lot of the projects that we're working on, we're kind of working on simultaneously and side by side. So it makes most sense that we would collaborate a little closer and just become more of a unified entity. So that is the update. We will have a table at the Boynton Day, and we're looking forward to finish off this year strong and working hard on the vaping campaign.
When is Boynton Day?
October 25th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jenna, do you want to talk about the membership campaign?
Yes. So you guys all should have gotten an email from me yesterday. We're relaunching our membership campaign. This is something we do every 2 years just to get people, making sure our numbers are right, making sure everybody is a part of the coalition who comes to meetings, all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Chris. So there should have been an email. With that, we did kind of reorganize a little bit the actual sign up sheet, I guess you could say. We now have 2 work groups. One of them is essentially TARP, which TARP right now is kind of working on the campaigns and the tabling. And the other is working on research and gathering data for our logic model. So just stuff about vaping. So if you guys are interested in either one of those, you can select that under the membership when you look to the membership form. Everything else is pretty much the same. We're just emphasizing that you make sure you identify what sector you're a part of. If you have any trouble, reach out to me or Kenan. We can help you assign to that. That's not an issue at all. And then we just ask if you are part of like a business or organization that only one of you signs up as a representative of the organization, and then multiple people. I know we have multiple people from Tri-County, so just pick whoever wants to represent Tri-County, and then the rest of you can kind of just be individual. Should be pretty straightforward. It's the same process we've been doing. We're just making sure that, you know, refreshing everyone's memory, that's all. The rules are now that if you are going to be a member, that you do have to come to one coalition meeting, and then you do have to have a up-to-date membership form. So if nobody, or if you guys haven't had a chance, take a look at your email. If you haven't got an email from me, let me know and I will send it to you. Also, I don't know if you guys can see me, but we now have these new membership cards with this QR code. This is how you can sign up to find the membership forms and sign up there. We also now have a new flyer, since with the updates with TARP, we're gonna just have one big flyer. So we've got TARP right here, and then this is actually the link to our meetings instead of a sign up page, since we thought that that would be more important to put on the flyer when we're out in public, because we want people to come to the meetings, not just sign up to be a member. I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions with the membership form? Has anybody had any issues? I know we've had quite a few people already sign up, so I appreciate if you have done that already. Yes, I can do that, Danielle.
I have a reminder, United in Community Resource Fair on September the 25th. We are doing that, correct?
Yes, I will be there. You're getting ahead
Okay,
of me.
say that again.
You're getting ahead of me.
Okay, I'll wait.
Anyways, yes. And so no problems with the membership campaign? Sounds good. Okay. We can move on to the training announcements and stuff. Yeah, we are gonna be there at the Unity Church Resource Fair. That is September
25th, Thursday,
25th.
5:30, 7:30.
Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
know,
I'll be there.
you're my calendar, so
I am.
I hope we're right beside each other.
If not, we can make it happen.
Yeah, we can make that happen. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yes, if anybody wants to come help out with that, I'd love to see you there. I will be there bringing stuff. Amanda's gonna be there too, so we can all hang out.
I'll be there.
Sounds good.
Party.
Yeah.
Sure that I do have Wooden Day contacts to share. I can send that to you. That's not a problem. Let me write that down.
I'm getting Danielle's flyers here right now. I can send it to
Perfect.
Amy Trent. It's Rita Burton who, if that's what she's talking about, how to sign up for Boyden Day.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean, Amy? Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll send her information.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. As far as our trainings going on, we have quite a few. And I just do a quick update. So we are still doing, this is just Southside Behavioral Health, is still doing the grandparent support group. If you guys know anybody, please, you know, please refer people. We do have the mental health first aid for older adults that had been moved to October 2nd, so that's still happening. We are partnering with the YMCA on September 24th from 6 to 7:30. That'll be a lock and talk training. We are still doing our virtual revives. Our next one is October 9th from 12 to 1. And then Amanda and I will be at the SBCC Alberta campus on the 22nd, which is Monday.
Yep.
And then there's also another revive going on at the Keysville campus, but that'll be done by the next CSB over. So those are all of our upcoming trainings. Does anybody else have any other updates? Oh, actually, I have one from Jan. There is also a Brainstormers Dementia Caregiver Support and Education program happening in South Hill. I can try to get that put into the newsletter. It just didn't make it this time, but I will get it in there. It's the third Tuesday of odd months, which is January, March, May, July, September, and November. So it looks like, have we hit the third Tuesday yet? I can't even think. And it's from 7 to 8 p.m. and it's in South Hill. I can send that information to anybody if you guys are interested.
Have they ever thought about doing those virtually?
I don't know.
Just asking, because I'd love to attend, because my mother has none of the cognitive disease. It's not a form of the dementia.
I don't know who's asking that question, Jenna, but if you, I will get back to you on that and whoever that is, because I can't see or I can hear them, but I can't see them. I'll get back to you on that, Jenna. I'll ask Dina Deal at the bottom and see if that's possible, if it can be like a hybrid type thing or not, and if it can, either way, I'll get back to you, yes or no, and then if you would pass that on to whoever asked that question.
Yeah, I can do it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else have
South
that?
Boston Probation and Parole is having an employment and resource fair this coming Wednesday. It will be at their office on Houghton Avenue in South Boston behind the DMV. It goes from 8:30 to 12, and I'll be there if y'all want to come see me.
Cool. Thank you, Lynn. Anybody else? Any other events?
This is Catherine here. Let me get off of video. If anybody's interested, this is Tri-County's big fundraising event on the 17th of October. We are doing a 60th anniversary event. Tickets are $60. It goes to a good cause, obviously, our organization. So if you are interested in that, you can go to our website, which is tricountyva.org. And there's a link there to buy the ticket. It'll be $60 and a little change. There's also sponsorship opportunities for anybody who's good with our mission, who would like to support our mission. So that's on the 17th of October.
Thank you, Catherine.
And that is a formal event, so if you want to dress up, it's certainly a good time to do so.
Oh, yes, it's black tie, so to speak. So forgot to mention that. Thanks, Sherry.
One last thing for me. Sarah, our marketing coordinator here, has actually put together a vaping quit program, one pager that we'll also be tabling with in the future. We'll get it laminated and professionally printed like this later on. But this we are actually going to be giving to Jamie and Skylar to be using during their classes. So we are partnering with them and trying to help get some information to them in whatever way we can, because we want to help you guys out. So any other last comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, anything?
Doesn't sound good.
Sounds good to me. Jamie, thank you again. We appreciate that. That presentation was very insightful. We appreciate you coming. We appreciate your participation, and we love the partnership we have with you guys. So, all right. If that's it, I will adjourn the meeting at 11:14. Thank you all for participating. Make sure that you fill out your membership form, please, because you have now come to at least one coalition meeting. So we'd love to have you on the membership list. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Jamie.
Dude.